There's something like 3,300 hill forts in the UK, mainly dated to the Iron Age. Some have their roots in the Bronze Age, and debate has raged for decades between the experts about the function of these structures. Some think they were defended settlements. Others see them as bases of retreat during times of danger. Or were they seasonal meeting or trading centres? And it's even been proposed that they could sometimes have been the industrial factories of their day. And as you can see from this sort of overlay thing, they're also very often very big and rather impressive. Now, considering the remit of this channel, I want you to go and have a look at the other end of the spectrum, a really, really small one. And that's what we're going to do this week. So join me with that. And please also take note of this very on-message purpley blue background. Okay, impossible filming conditions here on the location today. I've had to come down into the woods below the actual fort because it's blowing a gale, so to speak. Now, take a look at this big hill fort, courtesy of that expert in all things huge, Hedley Thorne, over there at headleythorne.com. So that's what a big hill fort looks like. Are you ready for a small one? Known today as Castlesteads, this minuscule fort sits atop the Helm and rises to only around 185 metres above sea level. It's multi-valet with 3 artificially levelled areas. Hopefully you'll get some impression of those. I was literally being blown over on the top when I was trying to film that. No chance of getting the pathetic fake drone up today, I'm afraid. And there are 3 known hut platforms on the top there. So people were living here in the Iron Age. It's a tiny fort and there are people living in it. Was there such a thing as overcrowding in the Iron Age? I hope they can't see my stuff behind that tree, although why that matters, I don't know. It's just 17 metres wide at the southern end and 25 metres wide at the northern end. I'm going to have another go at getting up there to the fort. Autumn has arrived basically in the north. It's really pathetic. You've got this majestic Hedley Thorne shots of amazing hill forts, and I can't even film this small one because the weather is so atrocious. I don't know if you've noticed a slight stylistic change so far in the video this week. No? Well, basically, over the last month or so, views seem to have been cratering, and I've been worried about that, giving it a lot of thought, not fort. The video is about a fort. And I noticed, by looking at the last 5 videos, there were 2 common themes. 3 of the videos featured forts, and they all featured me. Now, it can't possibly be forts. You lot are nuts about those, so it must be me. So we've made some changes, going to try and go a bit more TikTok-y, a bit more modern, on message, so to speak, this week. And with that in mind, I'd like to now hand you over to my new co-presenter in our new high-tech studio. So over to Mia in the studio.
Hi, guys. I'm Mia, and it's cool to be joining the team here at WC21 UK, in brackets Productions Limited. I hope you like the changes and it doesn't go the same way as season 19 of Time Team with Mary, Anne, and that bloke with a cap. The earliest known survey of the fort was carried out by Father Thomas West in the late 18th century. He concluded that it was a Roman signal station linking the fort at Watercrook to the fort at Lancaster, via the beacon on Wharton Crag, and this led to the ridiculous alternative name of Castrum Exploratorium appearing on the 1862 Ordnance Survey map, following the publication of Cornelius Nicholson's rehazing of West's ideas in 1832. It wasn't until 1893, when members of the Westmoreland Antiquarian and Archaeological Society came up here that the penny dropped. This was a British site from the Iron Age. This did not stop the so-called experts at OS from repeating the bonkers castrum exploratorium on their maps well into the 20th century. Ha ha ha. Back to the usual presenter at the site.
Thanks, Mia. Don't know why I'm doing that. Anyhow, I don't know if you can see behind me the sort of rippling ramparts there on the northern side. It really is impossible to film up here today. By the time you get to the early 20th century, the really rather wonderful Collingwood arrives and does the first proper survey. And you're probably now looking at his charming sketch plan showing the structure and also a really rather Wainwright-esque picture that he did of the Helm. That might be the best shot you get of it today. He identified basically that it went through a series of changes. Clearly, was active during the Iron Age, but may have started with a timber palisade, and those huts that we looked at may have come later on. That's one hut circle there, and then the other one is here. I have no idea how well you're going to be able to see that. Resorting to a bit of Google Earth now. Desperate times. I'm really rather embarrassed by this video. I think it's going to be quite short as well. The weather was ghastly up there and I was facing a countdown to the rain as well. Excuses, I know. Anyhow, this is a really important hill fort because, one, it's the only known example in this area. Two, it definitely was a defendable settlement at some stage in its life. And I'm very much put in mind of other forts that we've looked at on the channel where the conclusion had to be that they weren't places of permanent residence due to the extremely difficult access and water supply. Well, here it's perfectly feasible to come back and forth daily, and there is water up there as well. And then three, it leads us to this intriguing concept of the Roman Iron Age, with the Romanization process being far more gradual in this area. So I can well imagine the Celtic Britons living up here, casting a suspicious eye down on the valley as the fort and vicus at Water Crook emerged in the later part of the 1st century AD. Oh dear, am I going all mumbo-jumbo and a bit soppy again? Now there's a real conflict of interest for people like myself up here. In a survey that was done, I think in 2011, they've recommended the removal of the trig point that sits up here. And this has been a trig point, that's probably a 1930s one, but there's been one up here since the late 1800s. They've suggested removing it because it acts as a magnet for hikers. And that's adding to the erosion problems here. Difficult one. I think this tiny hill fort is rather wonderful, and it's proof, if proof be needed, that sometimes the best things don't come in the big packages and the best things come in small packages, not unlike myself. Anyhow, I hope you've enjoyed this. Hopefully you've managed to pull something together out of this debacle. Over to Mia in the studio for the outro, which is surely finally going to solve that ongoing problem. Mia.
The budget on this show is so big, I've changed my clothes for the outro. Huh. Thanks for watching, guys. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the notifications so you never miss out on another upload. I like coffee too.
You're going to have to let me know what you make of Mia and whether I should continue.
When I was designed as an AI presenter, I imagined my creators had TikTok in mind and not a channel like this.